What's up, guys? It is Rick Ginn, and you are on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel. And we are talking all about wholesaling. And tonight's kind of cool. We're just going to go ahead and jump into what you need to be doing right now and 2024 to get the absolute best list for the best strategies to get the best deals in wholesaling in 2024. So, what I want to do is really focus on what is working now. And today we're particularly going to focus on things that aren't often talked about. Some of them are, but I want to talk about the things that are working right now. So my name's Rick Ginn. You guys know me, and let's just jump into it. I'm going to take the first section and just teach you all about these lists. And some of these lists you're not going to know as much about. And what I'm going to do is expand into it. So let's get into it. And I've also put in the link in the top comment for me. If you guys want to do a one-on-one mastermind, I'm going to get through this rather quickly today. And I would love to spend time talking to you guys one-on-one, help you out with your real estate, any of your wholesaling needs. And I don't care if you need someone to kind of get in your head, someone to talk to. If you want to get help, today is the day to do it. We are talking all about the best strategies for 2024. And I don't talk about like the average stuff. Everybody knows about a high equity list. That's what that's not what no, we're not talking about today. We are going to talk about the little known list that not everyone's doing. And that's what we have to do. So let's just jump into it. Now, it's important. I have no order for these. Okay. What I do is I take the lists that are working in our current business, the ones that work with people all over the country, and the ones that are actually getting deals that I'm getting checks from, and I want to share those with you today. So I'm going to start out with the easy one to warm you up. And this is kind of a no-brainer one, but honestly, this list worked 21 years ago, and it works phenomenally today. And in today's market, with an insane real estate market going on, we need to find people that have motivation. So the best thing to do is find the most targeted list that you can absolutely do. And my first and most favorite one is it's always going to be code violations. I have never stopped on this list. I would call it one of my most favorites. You guys know I love probates. And I'm not going to go over probates today because that's like a given factor with me. But code violations is this list that is created by your city and sometimes your county for people that don't comply. And all cities have codes that you have to meet. So like in my city, if the grass is over 12 inches high, that's a code violation. And I know them all by heart. And here's the ones I go after. Any type of landscaping, which is going to be high grass, high landscaping, high bushes like that. Deferred maintenance, meaning there's like the gutters are hanging down or the house looks like crap. In my cities, the ones mostly I deal with is if you leave boarded up windows, especially right now we're just ending up the hurricane season. If you leave them boarded up, you get a code violation for it. And then my favorite one always is the blue tarp roof. I think it's more of a Southeast thing because when they put the blue tarps on there and everyone starts out, I'm just going to put it up there temporarily, and they leave it up there permanently. And you'll see the blue tarp turns kind of white and shredded. Those are my absolute favorite deals. And nobody starts out doing that. The reality is these people need help because if they don't fix these violations, they get fines opposed against them and they record it against the house. So it can be as little as $50 a day. I see it as high as $100, $150 a day. Heck, I've seen grass cut violations sneak up to $30,000, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. And here's the crazy part with code violations, guys. I want you guys to understand this. Say you let your grass get too high, and this happens a lot. And a lot of the probate deals I get, the grass gets too high because someone's not living in the property. And if someone's not there checking on it, the grass can easily get high because someone forgot to pay the landscaper to cut the lawn. Here's the deal is when the person finds out about it, they send somebody out to cut the grass and they think it's all said and done. On code violations, did you know you actually have to reach out to the city? You have to have them call and reinspect it. You usually have to meet them out there. And then they have to actually sign off on and give you a letter. So if you get a code violation, you cut the grass 3 years later, you can find out I have tens of thousands of dollars of liens against this property, and it's all for one grass cut. This happens all the time. This is how governments works. It's absolutely crazy. The burden is always going to be on the homeowner. And I find once properties get way out of line, they typically have problems. So especially if there's a death in the family, um, or somebody moved out of town, or it's a rental property going bad, this is why code violations are very powerful. And I find once somebody winds up on the code violation list once, they usually wind up being habitual offenders. And you want to actually keep them in mind when you do that, guys. I'm telling you, code violations. I know this isn't anything new you want to know, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this 21 years. If I only had one list to pull outside of probates, I would always go after code violations, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And that leads us into our next one. A really nice segue there. You guys kind of know where I'm going with this. Fire damage properties. Now, these are not my favorite ones, but to be honest with you, a lot of wholesalers avoid these. Why? Because it freaks them out. Nobody likes to deal with burnt properties. And to be honest with you, it is harder to find a buyer for these types of properties. But that should be the thing that should attract you to these types of properties, because I'm telling you, we need to find challenges on properties. We are not going on MLS looking for perfect property stuff that's going to work perfect. You've got to find challenges. Now, here's the really cool part. When I first did fire damage properties, I got to be honest with you, I was horrified. I'm like, how the heck am I ever going to find a property? And my first two properties I dealt with, one was completely burnt down, and then one was a minor fire kitchen damage. And I'm going to be honest with you, they were actually pretty easy to sell. And the homeowner, here's the really cool part. People always ask me, they go, Rick, how do you assess the damage to it? I go, I don't do that stuff. And whenever a house burns down or there's any type of damage like that, they're going to have insurance. And when they have insurance, guess what? They give you they go out there and they do a detailed estimate quote on what the damages are to the property. They give it to the homeowner. This is information you easily request from the homeowner if they're interested in selling. So you don't have to guess what the damage is. They actually write out an insurance estimate for it, and you have it right in your hand. So that was the part that freaked me out the most. And once I figured that out, it was easy. So I got a lot to go through, so I'm going to keep moving here. Water shutoffs. If you guys have never done this, this is new from a guy who's been doing this 21 years. This came up about 5 to 7 years ago. And this is a technique where you have to go to your public utilities. And if you don't have a public utility, they're not going to give you the list. And honestly, this is one of the harder lists to get. But when you get it, keep in mind, guys, when people shut off the water, think about this. What happens when people shut off the water? Nothing goes on in the house. If you can't use the bathroom, you can't take a shower, you can't wash the dishes, that house most likely needs to be sold. And one of the favorite segments of when you have the water shutoffs is the landlord-owned properties, because when that water gets shut off, it's not so much the landlord that's doing it. The tenant's either doing a move out, or they ran out of money, or they're having money problems. And that is a perfect time to reach out to these people. If you have the guts to get this list, and you're going to have to be really persistent, you're going to get resistance on this, but this list is golden. Honestly, it is. Think about this. If the water gets shut off in your house, unless it's an absolute accident and you're screwed up not paying the bill, there is usually going to be a problem. And 9 times out of 10, the house is a great candidate to be sold. And usually it is a distressed situation. Remember, we want to help homeowners out. We're not here to take advantage of them. And the best way to do it is we got to find the clues. So remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. We talk about fire damage properties, water shutoffs, the same thing. Now, you all know about driving for dollars. I love this list. It is, to me, the most powerful list you can do, because you put your visual eyes on it and you are actually going around and finding these properties. And when you see physical signs of high grass and all the things we teach you to look for, you have a huge advantage over a list. Say a guy like me goes out and buys a high equity list of 10,000 people in a certain city, and say you get 500 properties driving that you see distress signs, you have the upper hand. Actually, that list is 100 times more powerful than the list I'm going to get off of any type of list service. And you've got to understand the power. Driving for dollars, a lot of people go, oh, it's It's so simple. I don't like, why is it so popular? Because it works. I can't tell you how many times I bought a list and I drove by that house probably 10 times. And all I had to do was take a piece of paper just like this and just write it down and go, hey, listen, all I have to do is find houses like this, and I don't have to call 10,000 people. I rather you get a list of 500 distressed properties and you simply reach out to those people. Which would you rather do? Contact 500 people that you know have an issue, or reach out to 10,000 random people that you're guessing off of a list? Now, I'm just telling you, I've done them both ways. I will bend over backwards for any type of driving for dollars list. Not only that, let me add you another one. Driving for dollars, mobile and manufactured homes. These are often overlooked. We often talk about single family homes so like aggressively. And I'm here to tell you, I love mobile homes. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't love them for a long time. The honest to God truth, I skipped them for 10 years because I thought they were a waste of my time. And here's a little strategy, if you guys can ever come up with it, is in certain parts of the country, real estate is becoming very, very price intensive. So what you do is you notice, like we noticed in an area in Florida where everybody's got Prime, you know what I'm talking about, the Amazon Prime type of deal. Well, they opened up a massive distribution center in my area. I mean, when I say massive, this thing is like, the facility is like a half a mile long. They're bringing in 10,000 employees. And guess what was adjacent to it? 2 mobile home parks. Guys, when you find stuff like that, you don't even have to even get them at a discount. We went out, we contracted initially 3 properties right off the bat, and we wound up getting 10 under contract. Of those, I think we wound up flipping 7 of them and got quick cash for it, and 3 of them we keep as long-term rentals. Now, here's the really cool part. Before this came about, okay, this was a little bit of a hedge, okay? They were renting for $300, between 3, maybe 500 if you had a double wide. And right now, to date, they are renting for $2,000 a month, okay? And the really cool part is the renters actually basically paid off the investment in less than a year. And so if you guys can find like little things like that, you can get way ahead of it with mobile and manufactured homes. Why? Because the insurance is significantly less. You want to make sure the land's owned underneath of it, and the taxes are very, very minimal. So if I wanted to own, say, a typical home, I've owned a lot of homes in Port St. Lucie. The taxes right now are averaging almost $6,000 to $7,000, where I have a mobile home just to the north of that, and the taxes are only $700 per year. I don't know about you. The home's not as pretty, it's not as sexy as a beautiful single family home, but on paper is the sexiest thing I've ever seen. And if you guys can see trends like that, for the longest time, I ignored mobile homes. And I had the opportunity to buy them for $3,000 to $5,000 forever. I always took them off of my list. I never touched them. I even dealt with manufactured homes. They were much less desirable. And honestly, now we go out and look for them. So what I like to do is enact driving for dollars and find these types of homes. Sometimes you have to start looking outside of single family homes in certain types of markets. I will tell you this. I do love townhomes, especially in Florida, because townhomes, they are more of the affordable housing. I'm still not the biggest fan of condos. They are a pain in the butt. They always have been, and they always will be. But if you can look at manufactured homes and basically mobile homes, as long as you own the land underneath of it, you can usually put a deal together. If you can find a trend like that where there's people moving in there and people need affordable places to live, not everybody can afford $3,000 to $4,000 on a single family home. And why not do a manufactured home or a mobile home? They work. Now, let's get into more of the niche stuff here. I'm going to throw one up here. You probably haven't heard of this. 90-day credit profile list. And this is basically, this is tricky. I'm going to be honest with you. So you can go out to a credit bureau data service. I don't know if I'm even using the words right. And basically they find people that are behind on their credit cards and their mortgage. Now, when I first started, you could actually buy what you call 90-day late mortgages. It's against the law to do that anymore. So what they do is they create an algorithm, and now they combine people's credit cards, their car payments, and their mortgages. And if they combined all three of those services, and then like box retail store like JCPenney and stuff like that, when they get late and they get reported to the credit services, which is going to be TransUnion, Equifax, whatever the other one is, you can actually buy these lists. Now, you got to know what you're doing when you buy these lists. Everybody wants to sell you these lists, but I'm going to tell you, these lists, they do work, because when people get behind, they get behind. And usually if they're behind 3 months on their credit card payments, they usually wind up behind late on their mortgage payment, their car payment, their insurance payments. And what they do is they build a credit profile risk. And unfortunately, you guys know everything reported to TransUnion, Equifax, all these services, they sell everything. Honestly, they sell everything. They tell you they don't sell anything. They absolutely sell every piece of data. And what does this cost? It's all over the board. You have to find a reputable list service provider. This is not for the faint of heart, but people like to do this. I personally loved it when it was just 90-day late mortgages. It was extremely valuable. And I could actually go to ListSource back in the day. This is probably 15 years back, and you could buy this data. So they've passed some laws where you can't do that. So they have to combine and build an algorithm. And if you can find a profiling like this, it actually works. You're going to have to take a risk if you do these types of lists. If you're doing well and you're looking for more opportunities, you can go out and find these lists. What you need to do is find reputable brokers. Don't find the guy on Craigslist. Don't find the chick on Fiverr. You're not going to get them through that. There's actually full accredited agencies where you can buy this stuff from, and they're legit. But you got to know what you're talking about. You can do more research online, or you can reach out to me. I can tell you a little bit more about that. Now, let's talk about like an easier one to get. Ready? Arrest records. Talk about these all the time. Listen, I'm talking about people who get arrested. They own real estate and they got to go away and put away for a time. The most common offender of this is basically going to be people who have multiple DUIs. This is about 80% of it. I'm going to be honest with you. The other 20% is usually battery and theft. Now, I'm not here to judge a book by its cover. As long as you ain't touching me, I don't care. Keep in mind, most of these people are out on bail waiting to serve their time. I thought this was an anomaly when I first did it, but it actually works. Let me tell you the good side, bad side. The good side is when you get a deal on these, they're actually really, really good. The downside is there's a lot of drama with these. It's they just go on and on and on. But keep in mind, usually when you're going to jail for 3 to 5 years, it's very hard to ask somebody to watch your house 3 to 5 years because it's probably not going to be there when you get back. So I've bought dozens and dozens of houses like this, and we decided to, on purpose, comb the arrest records, basically cross-reference, see if they own property in that county, and then we just reach out to them. I found cold calling by far to be the most effective, and then either following up with a letter or just doing direct mail. Either one of them works. Next one of my favorite little niche lists that just works phenomenally. It's a pain in the butt to do, but this is what we do in wholesaling. We have to find problems. So no, I don't want you to go to garage sales and shop everything. I'm here to tell you, a garage sale list simply works like this. You find people that are having a garage sale. How do you find them? In the old days, it was always Craigslist. Today, much more on Facebook Marketplace, any type of Facebook groups, still Craigslist. And then sometimes your city and county has places where they actually have to register their garage sales, but most of them do it illegally. And then basically when they have a garage sale, I'm going to cross-reference it and see who the owner of that property is. Now, here's the key. I'm looking for people that are absentee owners, which means they're landlords. When they're landlords, that means they're tenants having a garage sale, which probably means they're having a midnight move-out sale. And usually by cold calling or mailing to that prospect, you can break the news to them. They go, what? And say, listen, I see you're having a garage sale at your property. And I start the conversation off of that. My goal is to surprise the landlord and let him know and fill him in on key information on letting him know, hey, I didn't know you're having a garage sale. I want to know more about it. And then he goes, what do you mean I'm having a garage sale? I go, well, I drove by there. Yeah, there was a bunch of people and furniture out in the yard. It gets them fired up. But remember, you just basically let the cat out of the bag, that letting them know that their tenant's moving out. You did them a favor. Hopefully you can connect the bridge, because usually when the house is vacant, it's not a good thing. And if they're ever going to sell it, it's when the tenant moves out, because they're behind on rents. They've usually trashed the property. And guys, this happens all the time. And how do you do it? You simply you have to cross-reference the garage sale list, find the absentee owner, and then basically reach out, cold call them, or you can send them mail, but you got to do it fast if you're going to do it via mail. And then basically the element of surprise is what really catapults the relationship. It works, guys. People do it all the time. They want to get money and move from one property to the next. It works. Now, you can do regular garage sales. The ones you want to avoid are the chronic garage sale people. Yes, there's people that just do garage sales all day long. You want to avoid those people like the plague. Now, people always ask me, hey, Rick, what can we do with inside of like PropStream to find some of these lists? Here's my favorite list I'm going to do within listoria.com. I love the vacant properties. I pull it once every 90 days. That's it. Like I'm not pulling it every month. You know why? Because the list doesn't change that much, at least in the markets I service. Maybe it's a little bit different in your market, and you can kind of share with me which one works the best for you on that one. But I love vacant properties. Now, the problem is what you want to do is, these are pre-filters set within PropStream. So it's really, really simple. You can put whatever filters you want onto it. And what you want to do is filter the ones off market, because I don't want to deal with realtors when I do this. You guys know how I feel about realtors. It's just a waste of time on a good wholesale deal. The last thing I want to do is fight through a realtor on a vacant property. So you're going to find some of them. There's not much you can do about it. The list is not perfect, but it works really, really well. And then the next one is going to be the pre-probates. Once again, this is inside of PropStream in listoria.com. And you just go down the filter section and you pull down pre-probates. And people are always asking me, Rick, what are pre-probates? It's simple, guys. It's basically queuing off of a death certificate and cross-referencing to see if they own property within that county. And if they do, then that is a pre-probate. It doesn't mean it's going to be a probate. It just means it has a high likelihood of something transferring with that property, either through a probate or some sort of legal maneuver. Depends on how the property's owned. And I'm going to be honest with you, not every property is going to go through probate. You've got to understand that. Actually, only 50% of properties actually go through probate. Some go through trust. Some are set up ahead of time. Basically, if the joint rights with survivorship, when two people are married, if it's set up correctly, they actually get pulled out of probate, but they got to file a piece of paperwork at the courthouse to do that. Once again, this is why I like to pull this. And once again, I'm going to pull this list probably once every 90 days, because you're going to see a lot of repetition on this list. And for that reason, you want to understand how that works. So that is a summation of the list that I like that are working now. And don't get me wrong, I could sit here and go on 4 hours on all the different types of lists. I just try to mix this up so you guys get different ideas on ways that you can do this. And that's awesome. So let me go through some comments on here. So if you guys want to do a one-on-one, just hop on here. And I'd like to spend some more time with you. I know I haven't seen some of you guys in a while. I had some stuff to take care of, but what's up, Chris? I see you on. Actually, well, Chris, why don't I just bring you on? You're right here, man. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man?
So you actually answered one of my questions.
Okay. No, I saw you in the comments. I go, hell, he's in the live. Let's just go ahead and bring it on, man.
Yeah. So one of my questions actually, is how do you close fast? Because this deal that I'm closing, it should close by the end of this week. The closing date is actually tomorrow, but it's been like a month, and it's just been taking. It just feels like it's been taking forever.
Okay, well, walk me through the deal. What's going on with it?
So this guy called me off ad I had on Craigslist, and I think it's like a house he inherited.
Okay.
And it was like too easy, to be honest. I never gave him a price or nothing. I just said, "Is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do?" And he got down to like 12 grand. It's not in a great area,
Okay.
but under contract went right from him signing the contract directly to the property to show my buyer, then assigned it. Um, and I think part of what made it take longer was my buyers ended up switching to my attorney because his attorney was going slow. But
Okay.
New York State is where I'm at in Rochester, and it's an attorney state, so we
Hmm.
sent everything to the attorneys. And what felt like it took not too long, but what felt like it took long was just waiting for the title search and the title company to do their thing.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know that real estate can be slow sometimes, but I know I've seen people saying like, "Oh, I can close in 7 days. I can close in 14 days." So I don't know. I wonder how that's done.
All right. So let's break this down. How many deals have you done in total, Chris?
This would be the first one.
Awesome. So you're just going a little bit through the learning curve. So you're in a little bit of a challenging state. So I don't, full disclosure, I don't have a lot of experience in New York real estate. So I'm not, what you have to do is figure out the process with the closing attorney. So you will get it dialed in. But so how long ago did they pull the title? Like how long ago did you go under contract under this?
I think it was like September 28th or something
Okay.
like that.
So September 28th. And then how long before they gave you the title back did they read it back to you?
Like Friday. They
Like a
they
week
said
later?
like this past Friday.
It,
Um,
so what you need to do is find out the process for pulling title in your state. So because you have to go through like an attorney. So I'm just going to give you Florida because obviously I'm a dominant Florida guy.
mhm.
Title is a funny thing. So the challenge is like, how old is the property?
I think it was built in 1890.
Yeah. So you're going to have a little bit more of a challenge on title because the average property in Florida is like less than 50 years old. So the title is just figuring out, who built the damn thing and then who owned it, and every time it's sold. And they have to like dot the I's to each one of them and make sure there is a chain of title that doesn't break. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
So sometimes properties that are 100 years or older, they take longer to research. And sometimes some of the old records don't even exist. I have this occasionally, it comes up in Florida. So let me give you an example. In Florida, I can pull title within 3 to 5 days. Now, I just know how they pull title and how they do it. So what you need to do is, the problem is, the nice thing in Florida is we're not required to have an attorney, although an attorney owns the title company. You got to find out what the turnaround time is to pull title.
Yeah, she said
And
it was like 2 to 3 weeks.
so you got to find out if that's the norm or that's just the standard answer they gave you. So how did you find this, the attorney that you're dealing with now?
I'm very involved in the local real estate investing group. So
Okay.
the guy that is mentoring me, they say he's the biggest wholesaler in New York. So he
And he uses them.
recommended them to me.
So I would just get a consensus. It sounds like you're on the right path, but it's like every state is you are somewhat hampered by them pulling the title, because if you don't have title, your buyers never want to buy the damn thing. Like I wouldn't buy something if it didn't have clear title anyways, because the reason they want to do the title is why?
To make sure it's like a car, right? Like to make sure
Correct.
it's
It's just,
legal.
yeah, it's a title. They just want to make sure it's clean. So, and then the idea is they issue an insurance policy, title insurance policy against that. And so you have to wait for the paperwork to come. So what you need to do is just get very comfortable, because this is your first deal, and find out what the flow is. So if you're dealing with an extremely seasoned wholesaler, which sounds like you are, which is a great way to do this, is be very confident, and then you can turn around and then you can adapt your marketing pitch to that. The reality is a lot of wholesalers say, well, I'll close in like, listen, I put signs out there that says I'll close in as little as 3 days. But you got to give me a deal of a lifetime to make that happen. The reality is most deals where I'm from is typically 3 to 4 weeks. That's properties 56 years old in a state where we're not required to use an attorney. I assume it's going to be a lot more muddled up in New York. So basically, keep in mind when you write a contract, most of your contracts are going to be contingent on that title being cleared. So even if you write an express contract and they say, listen, I want to close in 30 days or less, go, listen, I'm going to do everything I can. You just got to get with the title company or the attorney and make sure we get all the information to clear the title. And understanding until they do that, I can't do anything. And once they know it's not you delaying it, then that's how it just has to go. That's just the way it is. So it's not your buyer that's holding it up, is it?
No, no. I mean, initially it was because of his other attorney, but after he didn't do anything for like a couple of days, his attorneys, he just went to my attorney, and after that, I think everything's been going as fast as it could be going in New York
Yeah.
with the
So
old house, like you said.
yeah. So remember, all real estate's local, and I wish it would go faster for you. But if you're telling me you're working with the most seasoned guy in your market,
Hmm.
I gotta assume you're getting the good information, and you're doing the right things by going to the RIAs. Because the biggest thing you have to find out as a new wholesaler is find out what is the protocol in your market. And the biggest thing I advocate for you guys is reaching out to title companies to make sure you get everything and you know what the process is and like how much time it is to do it. If you work with a title company that is not crazy about working with a wholesaler, meaning assignment of contract, they will tie you like I've had title companies in Florida, they've tied me up 4 to 6 weeks because they're not used to our contracts because I got stuck with a bad title company. So my title company moves stuff along as fast as they humanly possibly can. So do you know who writes the do you know which company they use to underwrite the title insurance?
No, I don't know what
So I want you to
company they're
ask.
using.
So
Okay.
it's usually going to be Old Republic. So there's only 2 or 3 insurers throughout the entire United States. Like they all go to like one place. And then what happens, just so you guys like the backstory on title, is there's an underwriter. So just like you have an underwriter on your auto insurance claims and stuff like that, there is an underwriter for every file. And what the underwriter says, they clear the title, they determine the fee to do it. And if there's ever an issue, they got to go back to that underwriter and they're held accountable if there's ever a claim on that property. Their job is to try to minimize any type of claims. So you just got to figure out how to get through the process. It doesn't matter if you tell someone I can close in 3 to 5 days until that title's clear, you're stuck. And depending on which type of contract you use, and almost every contract says if you use the local real estate approved, attorney approved contracts, it says that contract's usually contingent on clearing title. So even if you say, listen, I'm going to close it in a week and you put on there a week and the title's not clear, that contract is still alive. You don't get out of the contract because you didn't close it in a week. So I don't like to mislead people with marketing on it, but a lot of people put out, even with bandit signs, they go, I can close your deal in 3 to 5 days. That's really hard to do. I don't care who you are. And it's not about money. It's never about money. It's about the ability to clear the title and issue a clear title insurance policy. Now, if your buyer doesn't care about a title insurance policy, then you can technically do that. And I have sold properties without title insurance. You want to know the type of properties I sold? The ones that are a piece of crap, that are like worth nothing, that I sold for lot value. People just don't care like when they get to those numbers because they have some sort of other plan with it. So you're doing everything the right can. So when's it supposed to close?
She just said by the end of the week, my attorney. Like
Okay.
the actual date is tomorrow.
So are you in contact with your cash buyer?
Yes.
Okay. Dude, you're doing everything right. Like honestly, I can't really fault you. Just understand the process and work with the attorney you're closing and just say, hey, what can I do just so I understand when I explain it? When I have someone that says, hey, they want to close it in 30 days, which is most sellers' expectation, what should I be telling them to set up for the expectation? And then I just make sure the title company stays in contact. So when I was a new wholesaler, nobody like, this guy's not credible. He doesn't know what he's doing. I would have the title company vouch for me. They go, listen, Rick's done everything he can. We're trying to underwrite the title. As soon as that title clears, we're going to call you back and go over everything with you. So just have them helping you out as much as you can with it, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're in one of those states where it's just going to take a little bit longer. And if you're solid with that answer and you're very good with the person that's mentoring you, then I would stick with those answers. So sometimes people get bad answers and they don't understand how long it takes to clear title. And you can make a mistake because a lot of title companies, their standard answer is going to tell you 30 days. But in Florida, you can clear title in 3 days. But you better have an incredible relationship with your title company to be able to pull that off, because that title company, if they're not used to working with investors, they want to push, they'll stack up 50, 60 contracts. And if they see your closing date's 30 days from them, then that's usually what they put the closing date. So you're fine, dude. You're doing everything fine.
Okay. All right.
So,
sweet.
Awesome, man. Good job, man. How much money are you going to make off that?
10K assignment.
That's kind of a little deal. That's awesome. And that's off Craigslist, guys. That's
amazing, I didn't
man.
do anything. I mean, technically I didn't do anything. Up to that point, I had made like 200, 300 phone calls or whatever. And then I get a phone call to me. It was the first one I ever got to me. And this guy's like, hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist. And I forgot about it. I was like, oh, yeah. Tell me about the property. And
a lot of people still listen, don't get me wrong. Craigslist is challenging. Okay. It was challenging when I did it, when I first started out. And do you have problems with people flagging you?
No, I haven't had that yet. I actually went back and looked at like the real estate wanted category, which is where I put mine. And I was amazed that he even found mine because of the amount of I buy houses ads there are.
It's amazing. And did he just pick up the phone and call you?
Yeah.
And you answered it live?
Yeah.
So that's it. So do you know if I called 10 of those, 80% of them would never even answer their phone? I can do that in Florida. I can rip through Craigslist and 80% of the people won't answer. Same thing on bandit signs. Guys, the key is if you're going to do any type of posting, I don't care if you do digital bandit signs, physical bandit signs, if you're going to do bandit comments, the key is to answer your dang phone. People are only going to reach out to you once. And if you don't answer the phone, they move on to the next ad. And that's the secret. That's my biggest secret with direct mail. Our company answers the phone live. And all my competitors, they have all these different services answering the phone. It's a joke. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't forget how to do it. And then just get very, very familiar with your with the attorney and just try to form the best relationship you can with them. And then what I do is have them help you out with your clients so they know it's not you delaying it. You're doing everything you can. And that's all you can do.
Okay. Sweet.
Awesome, man. Great job, Chris.
Yeah,
congrats.
Thank you guys.
Okay. See you, man. And people say Craigslist still doesn't work. So many times people just forget like the basics. So you just got to go out and do the work. Awesome. Okay, let's jump up. Dana, you there? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
There you go. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Long time no see.
Yeah, not that long, but okay. I've got a couple situations I need to ask you about, Rick.
Okay.
So the first one is I talked to somebody today, 85 years old. He's been living in this house for 28 years. It is a pre-foreclosure.
Okay.
The challenge is, and I'm just wondering from you if there's really anything you can do. He is totally open to sell, but he wants to stay in the house afterwards because he has no place to go. He's 85. Okay.
So I'm going to be honest with you. You get this a lot.
Okay.
And I will tell you, there is a percentage of wholesalers out there that will tell people they can fix this. And you can't, because what do you do? Like
Exactly.
it's challenging. So all you can do is be patient. And because I have people in my local market that tell everyone they can stay in the house 6 months to a year afterwards. And you know what they do? They sell the house with them and they flick the problem to another investor. And guess what? That investor evicts them.
Oh,
And
wow.
you're going to get phone calls that are not going to be pleasant, and you're going to be held liable for anything that happens with it. So you have to focus on the root of the problem of why he wants to sell his house. And then you just have to be patient till he or till he finds a solution for somewhere to go, either a retirement home, an apartment, or something like that. But you can't promise stuff you can't deliver
Oh, absolutely.
because it's lying. And listen, I want to deal real bad, but I've watched more investors get in trouble under these like type of circumstances, and it pisses me off. So you can't, and I'm going to be honest with you, even if you bought it to try to evict the original homeowner out of there, you're going to lose in court. Like they're going to go like, let me get this straight. You bought it and he told you want to stay in there. And now you want to evict him. No judge in the world's ever going to side with you, even if you were that unscrupulous. And what I do is just try to wait them out and try to be patient with them. And that's all you can do, because I want to buy it too. I've got probably 30 people like this right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know why? Because they go out and they see what the cost of housing. And they're like, Rick, so my house is going to cost me $2,500 a month to live in like a small 2-bedroom. And I have my house paid for. And I'm like, I kind of agree with them. So
Yeah.
all you can do is maintain a relationship with them and just be super sweet to them. And then sometimes you involve the family when if the house becomes too much. But if the house is in pre-foreclosure, the writing's on the wall.
Exactly. Right.
So have you tried to involve any family members with them?
No, this was just a conversation I had today.
Yeah.
So I will make a note to do
So
that.
at 85, he needs help.
Yeah.
Because if he does nothing, he's going to lose the house anyways, and he's going to be on the street anyway.
Right.
So I would try to find a family member because they might not even know about it.
Okay.
And you can help people out. I help out a lot of senior citizens on stuff like I had no idea the house was in foreclosure. He didn't tell us. And the idea is the sooner we can do something, the better will happen. But even like you do something now, you're looking at 90 days before, to find them a place to live and everything. So I would find a family member and help them out. Guys, never under any circumstance buy a house and let the homeowner stay in it. It is a recipe for disaster. So I have done deals like this, and every time I wind up in court.
Oh,
I've done
okay.
in good faith on people, and they just, nope, I'm not leaving. I've done a 3-month. I go, listen, you got 3 months. Wind up in court every time, and it cost a fortune, and it was expensive, and it came a he said, she said, and I don't want to do that. So I would involve a family member.
Okay.
Because it's in pre-foreclosure. Like you got to do something, or he's going to lose the entire house. So 85, he needs help. And there's nothing better than you. I guarantee he's got to have somebody that you can reach out and help out to him. So I would have a pleasant conversation with him and see who he communicates the most with, and ask him if he's reached out for help, because you don't want to completely embarrass him. But remember what I always say. It's our job to do what? Help sellers get out of their own way, right?
Yeah.
He's going to lose the house no matter what here. So you might as well give him the best chance for survival in it and help him out, because if he just buries his head in the sand, the inevitable is going to happen. So if he didn't have a foreclosure going on, you'd really have to just sit back and wait. But with a pre-foreclosure, I'm going to try to reach out and get help. And sometimes they get upset when you reach out to family members, but sometimes people need help. And it's our job to help people get out of their own ways, right? 85, he should not be in pre-foreclosure or anything like that. He should be enjoying his life. There's something going on where he needs help, and someone needs to get involved and help him out as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
So
great.
remember,
Yeah.
you're gonna, and I always say, listen, I'm gonna help you out regardless if I buy your house or not. And that's
Right.
how I always lead out to him.
I love that line from you. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
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 Help
So
him.
I will try.
Okay.
So I have another one.
Go ahead.
This one is just kind of weird. So it's another pre-foreclosure, but there were 2 people listed. I called the second person because the first person you just could not, even on cyber background checks, could not find any information on this dude. So I called and talked to her. She's in North Carolina. She owns a small percentage because it was an inherited house.
Okay.
And he's the majority. He's also living there. He's also an attorney. She let me know. But it was quitclaim deed 2 years ago. And then last year he did a PR deed. He's the PR, and he deeded it to himself. But yet it's in pre-foreclosure. And I asked her about that. And she goes, I didn't know. It was like in pre-foreclosure like 10 years ago. She's like, I didn't realize it still was. Are you sure? And I'm like, I don't know. It was on my list, So what? Is there anything?
So who are you talking to on that?
That the other person that owns, it was a cousin basically, but she owns like 9% of the house.
90%.
Nine.
9. Oh.
And then he owns the other percentage. So I
You're
could
gonna
go
have
put a sticky note on the door, but like, is it even in pre-foreclosure with all this stuff? That's what I was wondering. Like, you did this PR deed. I don't know. It
Well,
kind of sounded a little.
a foreclosure is just basically somebody has a mortgage against it and someone's not making payments. It
Okay.
has nothing to do with a probate. When you start seeing quick claim deeds with probates and stuff, it's never a good sign. It just means someone's trying to cut corners. So unless this guy's going to be cooperative, I wouldn't even mess with it. It's a waste of
Okay,
time.
so it's not even. That's what I was wondering. That's what I wanted to
Because
ask
you're not like yeah.
Okay.
So 9% is just not like if it was 50%, then it would be worth a conversation. But unless he's interested, and you said he's living in the property,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, unless he's open to selling it, you don't have any motivation there, and
Right.
you can't make you start doing quick claim deeds with probate and stuff. It's technically illegal. You have to go through the people do this all the time.
Okay.
So just because you do a quick claim deed doesn't mean it. That means it didn't clear title. So when it has to go to clear title, they're going to ask them, why did you do this quick claim deed and who authorized it? And unless he has a legal answer, which usually takes a judge to sign off on it, it's probably not going to be recognized.
Gotcha.
But some people do it for control right off the bat. And until they're challenged, it's not a problem. But it doesn't matter if it winds up in foreclosure. He's not going to. Honestly, unless that person you're in direct contact, there's not much you can do.
Okay.
So talk to the person who has 9% and said, unless so-and-so is interested in selling, there's not a lot I can do.
Okay.
Because you don't want to buy 9% of a property, right?
Oh no, definitely not. And,
I get people try to sell me that all the time. I'm like, what am I going to do with 9 or 10% of a property? There's nothing I can do.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if there was something because of the pre-foreclosure.
No, you're going.
He skirted it somehow.
You're finding problems. It's just like when you start doing quick claim deeds, attorneys, and then you got multiple owners, like on a probate and a pre-foreclosure. Yeah. Sometimes there's some problems you just can't fix.
Okay.
And you just, unless that guy reaches out to you and they're interested, there's not much you can do for it.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure I wasn't spinning my wheels.
You're hunting in all the right spots.
I'm trying.
You just got to keep looking. You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Let's see here. Curtis, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, bud?
Hey, so I got a property under contract probably about 2 weeks ago now, and the ARV on it is $68K. I'm trying to hand it out to cash buyers for about 50. So my mentor, who I work with, he has a couple properties and stuff like that. He's also a realtor, but he doesn't really use the realtor license as like just for realting. He really just uses it as like a he's an investor, so he just uses a realtor thing as a as a superpower pretty much. So so he he asked me a couple months ago. He's like, hey, well, originally he wanted me to work with him, but I was like, no, I want to be a wholesaler, and to be a wholesaler you can't be a can't be realtor. I don't want to be underneath the NAR and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So he's like, all right, whatever, that's fine. So he's like, all right, at least bring me properties. So I was like, all right. So I handed this one off to him. But my question is just like, my problem is right now, I guess it's really not a problem, but I feel like it is gonna be. But I was just wondering, so the ARV for this place is $68K, but there's only like one comp in the neighborhood, and that comp is an exact replication of this property. Like, it's nice, has a garage, it's 2 bed, 1 bath. It sold for $68K, and that's the only comp in the neighborhood. Would my comping be right to go off of that, property, or no?
How old's the comp?
I'd have to pull it up, but
the date's going to be really relative to it.
Okay.
If it's within the last 90 days. So what's going on with your property? How much work does it need?
It doesn't need any work. It's fully renovated, clean, comes with furniture and everything. There's no problems.
So listen, if that comp's in the last 90 days and you're telling me it's identical, then you should be good as gold. That's very rare to get identical comps. Like unless you have like newer neighborhoods, I assume this is an older established house.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. The
Which market are
seller,
you in? Just out of curiosity.
I'm in Illinois.
Okay. Um, can you pull up the date or?
Yeah. Give me one second. Give me one second.
I mean, what makes comps really relative is obviously size and proximity, but like date is everything. I mean, date is everything on a comp. It's so if you have size, like very similar, proximity, same neighborhood, and then you have a relatively recent date, then that's like the golden rule of three. Because if you're telling me it's at almost identical square footage, I assume you're looking it up, Curtis.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
hear you.
Sorry, my internet's lagging. Give me 1 second. I just have to go to tax assessor website real quick.
Yeah, just try
But yeah,
to find that date.
all right.
So
All right,
Elijah, I'm putting up a
got it.
comment while you do that. Any advice for wholesaling from Canada, or should I stick to it virtually? I'm not going to give advice wholesaling outside the U.S. because I don't do it. So I would stick to it virtually. But awesome job. You can do this from anywhere. Okay. Find anything, Curtis?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm
Yeah.
just scrolling right now.
Curtis, let me do this. I'm going to take someone else and I'm going to come right back to you in like 5 minutes. Is that okay?
All right. All right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll come right back to you. Deb, you there? Deb. Going once.
Hi, I'm so
Uh, that-
sorry. I'm talking on mute.
You there?
Okay.
There you are. How you doing?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfectly.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay. I
What-
have I think like 4 properties. They're in B areas. I know 2
Okay.
of them. I can't find the relatives. It's like this person has no relatives. So how do I go about? I did the the True People search. No relatives are popping up for this 84-year-old, and I do have like a 83-year-old. The same thing.
So,
You
how
know,
did you find these properties?
driving for dollars. I
Okay,
get out on my lunch break because I work from home, and
got it.
I'll drive for dollars, and I'll see the boarded up home, right? And I write it down, or I say it, into my phone, the
Mhm.
addresses, and then I come home and then, I look up the owners and see how long they've owned it and things like that.
Yeah,
And in my city, they have like a death notice, but you can't get any information. I've been down there
yeah,
last week and talking to them, and I did, like you said, I'm nice to them, and it's like, oh, you have to, look this up online, or we can't give out that information. So I said
yeah.
I'll go back. But how am I able to find the heirs and things like that?
Have you tried the neighbors?
Uh, the house on the right has just been sold. I left a sticky note on the house on the to the left of it. I
Uh-huh.
hadn't heard anything back.
Yeah. I mean, listen, when you do driving for dollars, you're going to come across these houses, and you're doing the right thing. You research them. I'm here to tell everyone you're never going to bat 100%. Sometimes weird things happen. I've had people die where they have no heirs, and it's crazy. And so they have to go through a process through the state to basically auction off the house. And it is a long process and one I don't want to get involved with. Occasionally you can't find, because they're older people, we're not going to do the social media search because it's usually a waste of time. You agree, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the only thing you can do is, I mean, you do the tools we already teach you, the true people search, all that stuff. But some people are just hard to find. The only success I have is going to the neighbors. And then my last ditch effort is I just stick an old fashioned sign in the yard, and I just like a bandit sign. And I'm just trying to trigger if someone's going to call me that's in charge of it. So is
Okay.
someone taking care of the property? Can you tell is anybody handling the landscaping or mowing the yard or anything like that?
It's just turned fall, so leaves are everywhere. But it was not boarded up a month ago because I kind of drive. I try to drive.
Somebody boarded it up.
Someone boarded it up. Someone boarded it
Yeah.
up. That's
I would stick an old fashioned sign in the ground. You can even do an old stake and just put a sign in the ground. And people
Okay.
get pissed when they call you. And when they call you, I just go, are you the owner of the property? Or like, all I'm trying to do is get someone to call me. How they call me,
We don't really
I
care.
know.
Right?
Sometimes I put a for sale sign in the yard with my number on it. And then I just said, oh my God, I stuck the sign in the wrong yard. I apologize. Are you the person that takes care of the house? Find out who's cutting the lawn, who's putting up those boarded windows. And then here's a little trick. I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but I'll deny this to the postmaster.
Exactly.
Open the mailbox and
Okay.
see if there's a vacant green slip in there.
Okay.
Because you can tell if someone's picking up the mail or not.
Okay.
Sometimes I've gone in there in the mailbox, I mean, stuffed head to toe. Don't steal anyone's mail. Okay. I'm not telling you to do that, but you can look at it and you can start to see like names and stuff like that. But remember, these types of properties, you just got to be a little bit of a detective and you just keep hunting. One of my favorite ways in Florida is I usually always, because in the summertime, 10 months out of the year, you have to cut the lawn here because you will get massive violations on the house. So on these types of house, we always find out who cut the lawn. And his neighbors go, listen, I don't know. There's nobody here. I go, hey, when do they mow the lawn? She goes, usually the guy comes every other Saturday around noon. I'm like, I go over there at noon and I camp out. And you just got to do stuff like that. It's just, I know it's not the sexiest answer, but it is the truth. And you do it. And trust me, I have a long list of properties just like that. And we constantly hunt. And when we try stuff for like a month or two, and then I give it to somebody else on my staff, I go, see if you can find a way to connect. And people get creative. But the problem is you get older people, you only have so many options to go at. Once you do the online search, you do the neighbors, you stick the sign in the door and hunt for like the landscapers. That's about all you can really do. And I just keep an eye on the property, and some of them you can't solve, but like keep at it, because eventually these are some of the people I've helped out the absolute most, because someone's walked away from the home, or sometimes it's an elderly person and they don't have any other heirs. And if that's the case, there's not a lot you can really do because it becomes a state issue.
Tax sale in March.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot owed on it. It's not a lot of taxes owed. It's less than, $3,000 owed on the taxes.
I would just hunt for the landscaper, see who's boarding up, even try to find out who would have boarded up the windows. And then sometimes there's even a property preservation company that helps take care of it. But you just keep hunting and you look. And usually when you least give up, that's a lot of times when you have success. It's honestly, if it was that easy, everybody would buy these houses. Right. So you're doing the right things. But you just got to I don't do the social media search because it doesn't work with older people. Right. But just kind of I would stick a sign in the yard and just try to draw attention and see if someone will pull it in. And put your number on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll say, hey, and I like that I put the sign in the wrong yard. I do apologize.
You can do
I got
property managed by with your phone number, or you can put for
okay.
sale. And then if someone says, the problem is you're going to get a ton of people that call you that want to buy the property. So you kind
Yeah,
of create your own competition. Sometimes you just put property management and put your phone number on there and just say,
okay.
oops, sorry, stuck it in the wrong yard. Hey, by the way, while I have you on the phone, um,
Are
do
you
you know?
interested in
Yeah,
selling?
or yeah, just find out. Because what you're
Okay,
looking for is it's like the age old reaction. You're looking for a reaction from people. However
okay,
you get it, as long as it's not illegal, it's fair game. You got to do stuff like that. That's what it takes.
okay. So my other question is, what's the best site to find the phone numbers? Okay,
So if you're doing the free ones, obviously,
I
by
don't
the
want to do
way,
paid. I want to
what's
do
that?
paid. I want to do paid because the free ones it just takes forever.
I get it. The challenge is if you're going to do like one-offs or if you're going to do like a long list. If you do a long list, you can go through basically like a batch, which is a service that does that. To be honest with you, when I first started skip tracing, it was $1.50 per number, and it was so expensive. It was painful. And now you're down to like 12 to 14 cents, depending on what type of account you do with it. And there's 3 million services, and it's hard for me to go through every one of them because they're changing even as I'm talking to you right now. You can actually use companies. I'm not going to throw it out there, but there's companies that you can use that will do a custom search for you, but it's like $100. And they say they can find anyone, but it's not going to help you when you're looking for like 84-year-old people. I just don't think it is because they're really off the radar. So, cyberbackgroundchecks.com, you know, all the free ones. If not, go
Yeah.
through batch. Most people do batch. The word batch means you usually put 50 numbers in there so you don't drive yourself crazy.
Yes.
I don't know how it works when you do like one or two offs because I don't do that a whole
No,
lot
I have a
anymore.
list. Now that's one thing I'm good at is getting the list. I
Hmm.
used batch before in the past and the numbers weren't that good. That's why I was asking you. But I'll try them again. I have some new ones
Yeah, I
in
mean,
my
yeah. The problem is they use the really advanced companies. Like I have a contract with it's ridiculous though. It's like $1,500 commitment. You got to guarantee it for 2 years. So I'm not going to put that on you because you have to do massive volume to make it work. But I don't think the information is even that much better. Um,
okay.
there is I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I'll have to think about it. There's a specialty company I used to use on these type of properties, but once they got over 70, I found out it was a waste of my time.
Okay.
Because if they're under 70, you can usually find plenty of data on them. So listen,
Okay.
the reality is you're doing exactly what you need to do. You just got to keep hunting and you just get like super creative, keep bouncing off the neighbors. And the biggest thing you do is if this is locally, you drive by the property and see if there's any changes to the property. And
Okay.
that's what you queue on because I always hunt for the lawn man. That's our secret in Florida. And
Yes.
so you got to find out who boarded up those windows.
Yes. That's what I was
Somebody
asking.
had to pay money to board up those windows. Now, possibly it was the city or the county that did it. I don't know. And
But
why would they
normally they
board up
would
the windows?
kind of like they'll stick a notice on there. If the city or county does it,
Yeah.
they're gonna put a like do not occupy
Yeah.
sign on the home and stuff like that. So it wasn't the city or the county.
Okay. You just
And
got to
so
find that person that did it.
yeah. So my last thing is okay, cold calling. I know
Yeah.
it's the quickest way, and I am just stuck on that.
Or you and me
I am
both.
okay.
I'm not, listen,
Right. That's why I wanted to ask you. And so would the mailers and text be my text and then the mailers be my best option? I don't know, and I just said
is it a
I
fear of
need to
cold calling or you just don't want to do it or
a
both?
fear of it. I
Yeah.
a fear of it. I'm just being honest
So,
because I stumble and I don't really I just don't feel confident. How I would feel better like when I did send some letters out, some postcards out. I
yeah.
got these little ones off of here. I just sent them out. I don't know if you can see
So
it. and I printed it. I got a few calls back,
How many
but
did you
they were
send
in
out?
areas. I sent out about. I'm gonna be honest with you. I only sent out about 50,
Okay.
and they're in like A, B areas, and the guy wanted too much, So I felt
Yeah.
better talking to them because they called me. So I felt a lot. But me cold calling,
So here's
I would like.
what you need to do. Okay, I'm gonna explain this to you. First of all, you're perfectly fine talking to me. You're extremely confident. You know what you're talking about, and you relate to it. So cold calling is an entire process. And I'm going to be honest with you, the art of cold calling is the hardest part. The conversations, I don't think you'd have a problem with it at all with it. But most people don't understand, to really be effective at cold calling, you usually have to get a multi-dialer, because if you get 100 people to call, if you can get 10 of them to answer the phone, like, you did really good. So you got to get 300 people to call to triple your output. Otherwise, you waste a lot of your time. And it's time is the enemy when you do
Yes,
cold calling. I can be honest,
because I've seen
because
so
cold
many.
calling in the beginning, there's only one job, is to find
Yeah.
people that want to sell their house. That's it. You don't even qualify them. You just rip through and find it. You have to be somewhat of a robot to do it.
Okay.
And after a while, you do get numb to it. And most people burn out cold calling. It's just the truth. What I'd like you to do is get a couple deals under your belt, and you would be perfect for like direct mail, because I'm just like you. I like people to call me, contact me. It is an advantageous position to be in, and it's a better use of your time. The down part is you have to pay for it to do it. And
And I'm
that's
okay
the
with.
downside. And I'm not a big advocate of telling people to start out and doing direct mail, because most people, you've got to learn how to close wholesale deals and learn the process. And once you become good at it, then you can scale it and spend money doing it. You're going to have to make that decision. If you want to skip that line, you can do it. I've seen people do it. And I will tell you, the ROS postcard, check out mailingmastery.com and just study. It's
Yeah,
100%
I have.
free.
So
It
and I've
gives
already
you a
put the
huge
money
advantage.
aside. I've
But
already put the money aside. So
yeah, so it's going to cost you about 55, 60 cents a piece to do them. And so what I want you to do is you get the most direct targeted list and you go for it. Then I remember the first time I did direct mail, I thought
okay.
my wife looked at me sideways like, what are you, nuts? I'm like, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. But it takes 3 months, because mail's a lot slower than cold calling. Listen, if you don't want a cold call, I'm not here to make you cold call. I just don't want to see people going broke doing direct mail that don't have the experience doing it. I've never done cold calling. I wish I did, because I would have had a huge advantage, because nobody was doing it when I started out doing this. But I've always done direct mail. I've always done very well with direct mail. I love direct mail. So if you like those types of leads and you're confident and you think you can close them, then you have to make a decision if you want to invest and do that. Remember, one deal to make like 10 grand and you invest $500-600 in postcard, it's a pretty good return, but you got to be 3 months patient. And if you want to do that, I could easily show you how to do that. But I listen, I never cold call. So I can cold call, and I've done it. I don't like it because I got ADHD and it drives me freaking nuts. And I have a low tolerance for people that don't want to sell their house, because if I call 10,000 people, like 9,000 of them don't want to talk to me. And that like messes with my head. Some people, like my son, he could care less.
Yeah,
He's
he
perfect
says
at
that
it.
all the time, and I'm like, wow, I want to be just like that.
But listen,
I would like also to see him call people that are not on. What do you call it? The places where the houses are. I can't think of it now.
Listen, go to your strengths. You got to make a decision like what you want to do. Like if you're very confident talking to people and stuff like that, if you want to cut the line and do direct mail, you've got to be very, very confident in your abilities to qualify people, talk to people, meet with people. If you could do that, direct mail works. But I'm not here to put people in a position. I don't want people to put direct mail on a credit card and they're like, listen, I don't even know how I'm going to pay my rent this month. That's not my game. I don't believe in that. And I think too many gurus try to promote stuff like that. If you have the financial abilities and the confidence and you understand what you're getting into, go through mailingmastery.com. And if you want to have a deeper conversation, you know where to get me on it. Okay.
Okay. All right. I thank you. Unless you get to the next person.
Okay, Deb.
All right.
Good luck. Okay. Curtis, did you find it?
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
So the
What?
property property was built in 1950, and then the comp property was 1964.
Okay, but the comp is going to be the last time that property sold for 68,000.
Oh, you want the date from when it sold?
Yeah, that's the whole idea of the comp. You said you had a
Sold
$68,000
July
ARV.
27th. Yeah, it sold
July
July
of what?
27th. The
Of this year.
July 27th of this year.
That's your comp, dude.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you got to understand, a lot of these properties, sometimes we get properties, you can't find a comp within 5 years because no one sold the property in that neighborhood. But you have one in the same neighborhood, same size, proximity, and basically July, what do we, that's less than 6 months, really like 4 months. You should
Yeah.
have no issues. That's your comp.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
what do you
yeah, I
got
was
it
just
under
calling to
contract
see,
for?
because I talked I got it under contract for 48. And I'm wanting just 2 grand out of it, so I'm giving it just cash buy for 50.
$2,000 is pretty light. I mean, I would swing a
You
little bit
know,
higher.
hey, okay, hold on. Okay. So
Yeah.
originally I had it at 58, but I was like,
Okay.
wait, I was like, because, I I don't know. I feel like from my mentor, what he was telling me, right now, there's not really a lot of buyers right now. People we're about to dang near go into a recession, and stuff like that. So he was telling me
Uh,
like cash buyers right now are picky, blah 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 right now. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let me not be greedy and let me, try to, at least give them some sort of, wiggle room or, out of it or something. So I'm like, you know what? Let me not be greedy. I'll just, do it for 50, But originally I did have that 50K, 58K, but I was like, no, I'll just
yeah.
go down to 50.
Okay. So have you marketed this to your cash buyers yet?
Yeah, so I sent it to 2 cash buyers. I'm waiting for one to get back with me. I talked to one on Saturday. He told me he'll take a stroll through the neighborhood and he'll get back to me.
Okay.
Besides that, yeah, just 2 right now. I'm looking for more cash buyers currently, and I'm waiting on what my mentor says because he said he will give that to other cash buyers too.
Okay. Is your do you are you confident in the mentor you're working with?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ironically, he actually knows one of the cash buyers that are actually on my list. Like I,
Okay.
I met this guy through one of the Facebook groups and he actually knows him. So it's like, yeah, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He has like, a crap ton of properties, where he lives
Okay.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I trust him. Yeah.
Okay. So the only thing I can like this is the one thing I want to get across to you. And listen, everybody does wholesaling a little bit different. That you're never going to meet two wholesalers identical. So what your mentor is going to tell you, what I'm going to tell you, we all learned it from somebody else. Okay, we can agree on that, right? Here's the one thing that you've got to learn. Like this is the one thing I've in my 21 years experience. You got to learn that go for no strategy. I don't care what your mentor says. I'm just telling you, you've got to get these under the right price sooner than later. Meaning, I know you swung the bat at 58 and then you got down to 50. That means you initially offered too much to your seller. Would you agree on that, Curtis?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here's the one. So based on the data you've given me, okay, I'm not here to throw you. If you're, I want you to work with your mentor. I'm all about people working in local markets. I'm just telling you the biggest problem wholesalers have is they feel like they need to get a yes on the first try, and you've got to get your first number rejected. You have to build up amazing conversation and rapport with them and get the lowest number possible because you might be leaving another $5,000 on the table. If he went from 58 to 50, probably means there's more room. The problem is you probably can't go back for another discount at this point. Would you agree? It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So the one lesson I want you to walk away with from this
Yeah.
mastermind that we're doing here. Learn the go for no strategy. It's all in freewholesaling.com. But the idea is when you make your first offer, most people try to go for a yes. You want to get a no. Why do you want a no? Why do you want to know, Curtis?
So you can get a better price.
You can get your seller's counter.
So you can get a better
So,
price.
Yeah. Because here, the thing is, you're trying to guess what the guy wants for his property. You have no idea what people want. Because you initially thought 58 was going to work. He would have gone down to 50. So what if you offered 40 off the bat? And nobody goes, he goes, Curtis, you're nuts. That's a crazy number. I can never take anything less than 45. At least you found the bottom line number. So this is how I was taught wholesaling. Ready? What's the least amount you'd take for this property? And then when they give me the number, is that the best you can do? So the modern way to do it is basically expect a rejected offer. Get a no. I'm upset when people say yes to me right off the bat. So if I offer someone 50 grand and they put their hand out and shake me, I'm like, oh my God, I way overpaid for this property. I want them to say absolutely no. I can't take less than 42.5. Because you know what they do? They give you their subconscious answer right off the bat. And you can at least always go up in price, but it's a pain in the butt when you got to keep getting discounts on it. And that's the only thing. Take what you can on this one. I agree with it. Don't be greedy. But I'm just telling you, in the future, when you make your initial offer, I want you to get rejected. And I know it seems counterintuitive, but this is how the business works. If you do that, you will elicit their counter offer, and that they'll usually tell you what their bottom line number is without chasing them down for it. And if you do that, you got to get these as low as possible because you know the fight dealing with today's market with cash buyers. And I'm just telling you, I've been doing this 21 years. Once I figured this out, I hit it out of the park in wholesaling. And I still do this to this day. Every offer, I hit them at the knees. But I'm super nice to people. Like I build amazing rapport and conversation with them, and I build them way up. And then I go in, and this is how I learned this process. When I didn't know what I was doing and I started overpaying for properties, I would just minus off like 30 grand off of every one of my offers as like a handicap. So if you play golf, you have a handicap yourself. That'll prevent you from ever overpaying from a property again. And listen, if they say no, you can always go up in your price. But it's a pain in the ass to keep getting reductions when you overpay for these properties. Because if you went from 58 to 50, I almost guarantee you probably would have taken 45. I think it's going to be a tough one to get them to go down to 45 for additional reduction. So in the future, I want you to go for no, because when you get a no, you can elicit a response from your sellers and find out what their bottom line numbers instead of you guessing it ahead of time. Okay. It's my tip, man. Either use it or lose it. I'm telling you, you've got to get the lowest price possible. They're much easier to move the product because I think you need to make more than $2 grand on a deal. So do what you need to do with this one, get it done, work with your mentor. But instead of going for a yes, go for a no. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, it's going to change your success rate in wholesaling like overnight. I'm just telling you, do this. It's going to feel awkward. And that's how growth comes, when you do stuff that's uncomfortable and wild. You're not breaking any laws. You're not risking your health. You're not hurting anyone. You're just negotiating. And honestly, this is a tactic you use. Even advanced, someone like me, I use this tactic today and it helps me out a lot. I never overpay for a property by using this method. Okay.
All right.
Curtis, let me know how it works out. Okay. You got a good comp flow.
All right, for sure. I'll definitely hit you up. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, man. Okay, Curtis. Okay, guys. Let me see here. Okay. So listen, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you smash that like button, and please make sure you subscribe to this channel. For those younger people who want to check out my son, check out his channel on Zach Ginn. And I will be on Flip with Rick live with Zach on Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. That's it, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you guys. Go out and get your deals. Have a good one.